Happy Friday, sports fans, and welcome back to FNN Sports Take with me, Kasey Hudson. I hope all of you guys had an amazing and productive week, and I hope everybody is looking forward to the weekend just as much as I am. Of course, we've got some fun and exciting updates for you guys, kicking off with the NFL per usual. Now, we know that we've discussed the fact that we're right here in crunch time. We use this whole terminology when it came to the MLB kind of wavering here and there when it came to what they were going to do for the upcoming restart of the season. Well, we're not talking restart with the NFL. We're talking the start of the 2020 season. We're still not hearing much on safety protocols and procedures, but a new one kind of came out a couple of days ago, and the players have had let's say a laugh about it. It's gotten more mockery than, well, positive reinforcements. Richard Sherman, for one, took to Twitter to let us know just how stupid he thought this new protocol and procedure would be. The NFL is banning jersey swaps after the game, and they are also limiting the interactions between players post-game. Now, of course, Richard Sherman, he went to Stanford. We know that he's got a bit of an IQ on him. He took to say, this just shows you how ridiculous the thought process is when it comes to the safety protocols and procedures they're trying to put in play to protect us. We just played a full contact game, and you don't want us to swap our jerseys? That doesn't make any sense. We've already touched each other for 3 hours. If we're going to catch corona, we've already swapped it. I have to say I agree with him on this one. It's like after an entire game, you're telling these guys they can't swap a jersey. Like, give them bags to throw it in, and then they can just throw it over their shoulder and not touch it. Or with all things going on in the world of coronavirus, whether it attaches to clothing, cloth, cold weather, hot weather, whatever the case may be, I think at this point we can just say swap the jersey, hold on to it, throw it in the wash as soon as you get it. But I doubt these boys are going to get corona from a jersey swap. So a lot of players not only made a mockery of this, but they're not a fan of it whatsoever. They think it's absolutely ridiculous. On a bit of a different note, we know that there's been a lot going on in our nation in terms of the BLM movement, but there's some other people that, have had things going on as well. Desean made a very insensitive, what's the word I want to look for? A very insensitive remark on social media in his Instagram story, basically kind of being disrespectful to Jewish people. It had Hitler. I don't want to dive too deep into it, but of course we know Julian Edelman is a very, very proud Jewish football player, and he, with so much grace, I can't commend him enough for his approach on this, but with so much grace, he made an Instagram video just kind of addressing the situation and the insensitivity of Desean Jackson. And, he said that they talked that night after he posted the video on IG, and they both decided that Edelman's going to take him to the Holocaust Museum, teach him about his heritage and his background, gain that new perspective and respect, and then he'll go to an African-American museum with Desean Jackson, and then they're going to just, go hang out and have a conversation after so that they can just educate and enlighten each other on their background. So I thought that was such a way to handle, such a sensitive matter, and he said it perfectly. Just, get in an element where you can have that uncomfortable situation and that uncomfortable conversation so that they can grow together. So hats off to Julian Edelman on just being able to handle such a situation so well with so much etiquette. I have so much respect for him and his ability to do so. Now, with training camp coming up, we have not heard anything in terms of training camp being pushed back, cut short, nothing, which is getting me so excited because, guys, I'm going crazy without football. I'm going even more crazy not knowing just the logistics with how we're going to have this season come about. But we know between July 21st and July 28th, teams will start returning to facilities to have training camp. Now, some sources try to insinuate the fact that J.J. Watt might not be comfortable returning for training camp. I think he made a very subtle response to that. He took to social media not even a day later, posting him roaring in a picture, just being all JJ Watt. And his caption was just "stay ready." So I think he gave us enough insight to the fact that we'll see him at training camp. We haven't heard him have any scares or any concerns in terms of COVID-19. But guys, I'm just happy that we're not hearing any pushback when it comes to training camp. The only thing that breaks my heart is that obviously they're not going to be able to really do the 90-man roster. They're going to start cutting guys now. And I hope that they don't cut all preseason games. I just don't think that that's very doable. These guys still have to figure out where they stand on a roster. They still have to earn their spots. And you all know I am an underdog gal. I want those guys who have been working their butt off all year, who have that unique skill set to have that opportunity to come in and fight for that spot. So we'll see what happens as we get closer. We're just 2 weeks out, and I'm so excited for this. Now, for college football, some changes are taking place. We know that a lot of colleges are actually reconsidering even having their students on campus. So with that being said, we know that that's going to play a huge role into sports. For instance, all Ivy League sports will not be played this fall. That was announced earlier in the week. That kind of makes you think a lot as to where this is really heading, because, Ivy League schools, for them to retract their sports, they have to know something that's not really being spoken on. That's at least how I feel in terms of it. When it comes to other college conferences and sports, Big Ten is just going to compete within their conference, try to minimize the spread of, obviously, COVID-19 and just interacting with too much traveling. They want to keep the travel to a minimum. And I understand that. That's quite smart when you don't know where things stand with this virus. And then ACC will be delaying the start of their season to September 1st. So far, we're still talking football. We're still talking college football. I know a girl, she posted something great earlier today. It was like, what's the South going to do without any college football? That's a fantastic question. I had to borrow it from her. So let us know, guys, if there was no football this fall, what would you do to fill your time? Like, would you absolutely lose it, go insane? Would you redirect your attention to another sport? I mean, it looks like we're going to have hockey. So, I mean, I know I'll still be kind of okay. But like I said, I'm losing it. Stick with us as we head to a quick commercial break and we come back and break down some NBA bubble talk.
At Taco John's, you can expect one thing, so good, as in quality ingredients used in tacos and burritos made just for you. Every single bite.
So good.
Expect nothing less at Taco John's.
All right, guys, welcome back. So as we know, NBA headed to Orlando. They are already in the bubble. And I'm just glad that it's finally here and happening, because there was a lot of pushback from the NBA players, whether they were opting out, whether they were standing in, whether it was going to be a distraction, so on and so forth. So far, things seem to be going well. As you guys know, we caught up with Vooch last week on a press conference call, getting his insight on what he was anticipating when it came to the bubble. He seemed to be in high spirits, very positive. He said, the NBA is one of the best professional organizations out there, so he had full confidence that they were going to do everything in their power to make this a safe environment so that they can continue the restart of the NBA season. The Magic had their day 2 of practice earlier today, and things seem to be going well and looking good. The guys are feeling good. It's going to take a minute for them to get to that entire rhythm, as Vooch said in his press conference, but so far, so good. Now, we know that they were also looking at those Oura rings that would help them determine if they were, going to be around COVID or within 3 days of catching COVID-19, which I think is super for them, because, it'll get them to quarantine faster and back on the court sooner rather than later. Now, probably the highlight of my week, Joel Embiid shows up to the NBA bubble in a hazmat suit. This is probably the way to go about things. If you're not too worried about your style, this can be the fall 2020 fashion look. I'm all for it. We're now decorating masks, so we can start decorating mask suits and, different prints, different styles. I know many people probably throw Louis Vuitton on it and walk around, and we'll all be safe. We can have our social lives back. He figured it all out in an instant. Raptors showed up in style. They had their buses wrapped, actually, to support and also, have that initial reaction, that initial platform to celebrate and support the BLM movement taking place in our nation right now. They have Black Lives Matter on the side of all of their buses as they arrived in Orlando. And it didn't just stop there at the buses. They also, as they were walking off the buses, their warm-up t-shirts, their whole suit and get-up had Black Lives Matter across it. So we knew coming into this bubble that NBA players wanted to make sure that the restart of the NBA season was not going to be a distraction. Therefore, they were going to use this time and this opportunity to continue pushing the message on this platform that they have, that a lot of other teams or people or players or, just average individuals, I guess you can say, don't have. So they're setting the statement now. They're setting it early that they are going to use this platform for good. They're going to use this platform to continue pursuing the message that Black Lives Matter. We also wanted to pick some brains of some of the NBA players that showed up there, their thoughts on the accommodations. We know that when the MLS players did their check-in to Orlando, Florida for their tournament bubble, you saw pictures of the lounges that they were in and how they were kind of, approaching this new prison, or luxury prison, as some guys called it. Well, so far, again, the feedback's been really good. J.R. Smith, who we know is somebody to be very vocal about his feelings, he was like, look, this is kind of a half and half situation for me. It's a luxury prison, yeah, but, we can game it up. They were very selective on the barber so the guys can look fresh in the bubble. I mean, not like it matters. It's like a different kind of quarantine, isn't it? I thought all of us kind of just let our hair and everything go nuts during quarantine, but they get to stay fresh, which is good for them. Now, Russ and Harden were not with the Rockets on the flight. We haven't heard too much from sources in terms of why or if when they'll be heading to the bubble and joining the rest of the team. And Beasley actually signs on with the Nets as a substitute player only. Stick with us as we have one more commercial break, and then we break down NHL and MLB.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
All right, guys. So as for the NHL, it's been 120 days since the pause of the NHL season. Mind you, these guys were in such a peak of their season because they were building up to end the regular season and transition into playoffs. And we know the magnitude of what that point of the season means. And it was very hard for these guys to lose those extra games. There's a point system involved in the NHL. So some of those teams were just right on the brink of potentially being a playoff team. And they lost out on that opportunity because they just, scratched the rest of the regular season and jumped straight into playoffs. All in all, I'm so happy that hockey's returning. We now have dates. We announced it earlier in the week. July 13th will be training camp. The guys have already started heading back to the facilities. They amped up from just 6 guys on the ice to 12 guys on the ice. Players that were still out of state or out of country have now returned to join their teammates. And we saw some 12 men on the ice workouts taking place for the Tampa Bay Lightning, which was awesome and just so exciting. I cannot be happier that sports, but hockey being one of my favorites, is actually back, and we have secured dates as to the restart of the season. Now, July 26th, the guys will head to the hub cities, Edmonton and Toronto, Eastern Conference at Toronto and Western Conference in Edmonton. As of August 1st should be the first game day of the 2020 season restart. Yay. Now, they're saying that there's going to be an average of 6 games played per day. So, I mean, hey, if you missed one, you got plenty to catch up on. And then for the start of the 2020 to '21 season, that has been MLB. Baseball fans have been allowed back into stadiums in Japan, so hopefully this will be a promising look for the MLB when they have the restart of their season or the next season coming up here. We know that for outdoor stadiums, it's a little bit easier to have a comfort to do, the safe return of fans. As for enclosed stadiums, that's a lot more to work with. That's a lot more to make sure that you can safely have a crowd of people. And MLS, I don't know if anybody else tuned in on Wednesday, but MLS was back Wednesday night, 8 p.m. It was International Miami versus Orlando City. And that game, wow. First of all, the game opened up with a statement. All the guys either kneeled down or had their fists in the air, just, of course, declaring their support for Black Lives Matter. And we had some players who even took a knee for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. So we know again, all these athletes are going to use this platform, pins and needles about this. Of all teams to choose to open up a tournament, these two guys, our outlet has covered Orlando City for years now, and International Miami was about to be a new addition to our team. So it was heartbreaking to not really have a direction to lean into or favor, and it was such a good game. I mean, at first it looked like International Miami had it, which had me surprised. I kind of already gave it to Orlando City, but Orlando City ended up pulling through and winning 2-1 versus International Miami. They will turn around to face NYCFC on Tuesday, and International Miami will face Philadelphia Union on Tuesday as well. Players for the Philadelphia Union, they actually revealed jerseys having Black men victims' names on the bottom of the jersey right under. Who do you think's going to get knocked out first? These groups are amazing. We know Group A is the largest group with 6 teams in it, but who are you guys chanting on? Who are you guys rooting for? And who do you want to see pull through and win that championship at the end of this tournament? That is it for me on this Friday night, guys. Per usual, stay safe, stay sane, stay kind, stay compassionate, and wear your mask. The only way we're going to get through this is together, guys. Have a safe and fantastic weekend. I'll catch you next week.